tired of feeling overwhelmed by the sheer volume of genealogy research materials, ready to take control of your family history journey and prevent research overload once and for all? Join me as I take you on a quest to create the ultimate genealogy research plan, your roadmap to clarity in the face of chaos. Today, we're diving deep into the art of crafting a personalized genealogy research plan designed to keep you on track, focused, and free from being overwhelmed. So get ready to turn chaos into clarity as we explore how to create a genealogy research plan that empowers you to navigate the twists and turns of your family history journey with confidence. Let's dive in. Good day. Hello to all my fellow family historians. I'm Brian Nash, your guide on this exciting journey of discovery of your family history. Today we're tackling a challenge that happens far too often: research overload. You know the feeling, buried beneath mountains of census records, birth certificates, and family lore, struggling to make sense of it all. But fear not, because in this video, I'm here to arm you with the ultimate tool to navigate the labyrinth of your family tree, the genealogy research plan. From chaos to clarity, we'll explore how this invaluable resource can transform your genealogy experience, guiding you step by step towards new discoveries and deeper connections. So grab your favorite pen, clear a space on your desk, and let's embark on this journey together. If you want to discover the people, places, and events that make up your family's unique story, the adventure starts now. Now that we've set the stage, it's time to hone in on our research focus. One of the most powerful aspects of genealogy research is its ability to answer specific questions about our family's past. For example, in my own family history, I've been on a quest to uncover the identity of my maternal grandmother's parental ancestors. As I discussed in my previous videos on fan charts, you can use them to identify goals, and this is one of my goals that will help me gain a comprehensive view of my family's history. Specifically, I'm seeking answers to the question, who were my maternal's grandmother's father's parents? And as you can see, I start organizing those into a research planner. For facts such as birth, death, and marriage, dates and places, our primary goal is to locate official records. But the types of records we search for and the places we expect to find them can vary significantly, depending on ancestors' geographical locations and historical contexts. These questions are what make up my research plan, as they will help me be organized for what I hope to find. And where I find these answers and the information contained in it in genealogy, we call sources. There are primary sources and secondary sources. The difference is really when and by whom the information came from. A good example of a primary source might be a marriage record. It would have been recorded at the time by witnesses and specifically the people involved. A marriage ban will give you a lot of the same information, but since it is a publication in a church before, it may not have the exact date, as it was about a future event that hadn't happened yet, and quite possibly actually never happened. So it would be a secondary source. Another example, a death registration, can be both a primary and a secondary source, depending on the information. It would be a primary source in the aspects that is relating to the date of death, cause of death, places, etc. But in most cases, it would be a secondary source for things like date and place of birth, parents' names and their place of birth, as this information is secondhand from what they usually call an informant and may not be completely accurate, though in some cases it may be the only source or it may lead you to other sources. So secondary sources are still valuable. So what type of sources and where do you look for them? If we're tracing ancestors in Canada and United States, we might turn to vital records such as birth certificates, marriage licenses, and death certificates, which are typically maintained at the province or state level, and some even more local or township or county levels, depending on the age and where. Meanwhile, in European research, or before there were public registration records in North America, parish registers often serve as a valuable source of vital information. Understanding the historical events and administrative practices of the time and place our ancestors lived can also guide us towards relevant record collections. For instance, during times of war or political upheaval, records may have been displaced, destroyed, or archived in unexpected locations. By meticulously planning our research strategy and considering the specific types of records we need to consult, we increase our chances of uncovering the precise details we seek. This is when a research planner is handy. Now, I have a simple spreadsheet where I record the information I'm looking for. I will share a sample file in the description of this video. And that's why I keep a handy list of resources and basic information right in the front of my research binder. I save this information in a Google document and I print it out and keep it in the front of my binder for easy access. This document includes not only the locations, but also details on what information is available and where. For example, at the Nova Scotia Archives, specific records are available based on the dates, which can be a real-time saver. By staying organized and having our resources at our fingertips, we can navigate our research journey more efficiently and effectively. I've included a sample of my Nova Scotia resources sheet in the link that should be appearing in the upper right-hand corner of the video. Be sure to check it out for a practical example of how to streamline your research process. Now, there may be different things you need to add, and I definitely don't have everything. Quite often in a research binder, I might have research resource pages for multiple regions. In this line, so far, I will only be looking at Nova Scotia and Scotland. And when I start looking at some of my cousins' lines, I will also be doing some Prince Edward Island research. So going back to my fan chart, we're going to move on, and I'm going to skip to my second great-grandparents, specifically my maternal grandmother's father's parents, John McKinnon and Charlotte Campbell. As you can see, I know Charlotte's parents, so I'm going to work on John's lineage. So before I go about looking for the information I need, I always like to review the information I do have. And the easiest way is to look at my sources I have on his profile in Wikitree. So let's see the first ones. Search record to Charlotte. So let's see what info it tells me that can be useful. It tells me he is 43, and since the marriage occurred in 1867, so I can estimate a year of birth is around 1824, depending on if his birthday was before or after October 29th. He was a bachelor, which tells me there is no need to look for an earlier marriage, which I might do since he was 43. It's quite possible he had a previous marriage, other children than from besides Charlotte, but this has eliminated that possibility. He was a farmer and lived in Malagawatch at the time of his marriage. And Malagawatch was also his place of birth. Now, I would usually be able to get parents' names, but alas, here his wife Charlotte's parents are listed as his parents as well. So it's not helpful and calls into question the rest of the birth info. So let's see what other records we have. I have two census records, 1901 and 1911, and a record of his grave from Find a Grave. And that stone I know, and I know it is the correct person, and it gives some information. So now I'm not getting his parents' name, and I'm left to question his place of birth. Birth records for Nova Scotia only began in 1864, so I might need to look for a church record. I know that he was a Presbyterian, which could also be listed as the Church of Scotland in 1825 or 1827, that range. For these records, they are unfortunately not available online, but I will need to look for them in person on a visit to Nova Scotia archives, or see if I can find them elsewhere. Now, Family Search does have copies of some of the church records from Nova Scotia, and they're not indexed, but I will make a note so that I can look through them. Why do not like using family trees from Family Search or other sites like Ancestry, as often the family trees can be riddled with mistakes. Their record depositories are wonderful, and I can often find what I want. So I will add this information to a note to look at Nova Scotia archives, but I'll also be sure to check out Family Search first. I will also use two books that I have been able to find online. One, The History of Inverness County. Now, this book was written in 1922 and is a great source and has many detailed histories of some of the early settlers of Inverness County, where most of my grandmother's ancestors first settled. I have been able to get some information from in the past, and even have one reference that speaks of my grandmother's parents, not by name, but by referring to her mother's family, that a daughter of Charles McGuinness, it lives in Glace Bay. Now, the other one is called The History of the Presbyterian Church in Cape Breton. While this does not provide as much detailed information on individuals, it does talk about communities and the local Presbyterian churches and events that happened through the 19th century. Now, this is useful because I can narrow down where I might be able to find those church records. Now, the one other type of source I haven't really touched on yet is witnesses. So in the case of the third great-grandparents, I will not find any witnesses, but in the quest to find some information about my great-grandparents' parents, my great-grandparents' grandparents, I might have some luck, because my great-grandmother died in my lifetime, and my great-grandfather died before I was born, but my mother still has plenty of cousins who are familiar with them, and I can seek out to speak with them. I also have my grandmother's youngest brother, who's 95 or 96. I really need to talk to him again. But these will all be secondary sources, but they might be the only sources I have, and especially when you are talking about more recent ancestors, often any records are not publicly available. So for some tips on talking and interviewing individuals, watch this video coming up on the screen now, and keep searching for your ancestors.